Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, Update 52 is about to release and I've got early access, and the stuff I'm about to show you has got me super excited. The update will have two main attractions. One is the new Ice Paragon, which is the first ever Paragon of a tower that can debuff. Well, the Ninja technically has a debuff, the Grand Sabo, but this is the first Paragon from a tower with a damage debuff, and that's gonna be very interesting. And I can tell you already that you will not be disappointed, it is crazy. And the second attraction is Frontier Legends, which is the next part of Legends after Rogue, and this is going to be quite different from Rogue. This is a huge world where you are the sheriff of Sandytown and you move about freely to play challenges, minigames, customize your character, and recruit heroes to defend Sandytown and defeat the Diamondback boss. This is a huge DLC that is going to have 6 new bloon types, and the entire adventure quest is pretty long, and I'm looking forward to playing the whole thing. But this video I'm going to be focusing on only the Ice Paragon because there is so much exciting things that I want to talk about in regards to the Paragon, so I kind of ran out of time to play a lot of Frontiers. So get ready for a deep dive into the new Ice Paragon Herald of Everfrost. The price is 300k and the tier 5 upgrades are not super expensive either, so this Paragon is really cheap. Let's start with the basics. The range is decent, not huge, not tiny. The regular attack shoots an ice lance beam that freezes everything it hits for 10 seconds, and it spawns tons of ice shards along its path that rips through dense bloon groups. Every fourth attack, it does a thunderous snowstorm roar that freezes everything on the map below a bad, and it applies permafrost, removes all camo and regrow, and applies a debuff of plus 10 damage and an additional plus 40 from any cold type attacks. Let's stop right there and talk about the debuff, because that is just insane. So to be clear, when it does the snowstorm roar, it freezes everything on the entire map, not just what's inside of its range, and the debuff also gets applied to everything on the map. It is a global debuff of plus 10 damage. That's insane. And take a look at the uptime. This is a degree 1 Paragon, so the attack speed is at its lowest, and still, it seems to have 100% uptime. 100% uptime on a global plus 10 damage debuff. Just what? You can also see some snow on the bads here, but no, that is not slowing down the bads. It only freezes and slows things smaller than a bad. The snow does show on the bad, but that's only like an indicator that it's currently being debuffed. But that's not to say that it can't freeze bads. I'll show you more on that in just a minute, but first we got some more things we need to test in regards to the debuff. So, for the tier 4 and tier 5 brittles, their debuffs can stack with each other, plus 1 and plus 4 for a total of plus 5 damage, unlike the glue debuffs where the tier 4 cannot stack with the tier 5, so naturally there is a chance that maybe the Paragon's debuff can stack with the tier 4 and tier 5. And it does. It actually stacks. I wasn't sure at all that this would be the case because this is just crazy strong. To give you some perspective, if you get all the debuffs, you can get plus 12 damage. With the addition of the Ice Paragon, that would have increased by another 5 to 17 if it didn't stack with normal ice debuffs, which would have been an increase of 41.67% in maximum bonus damage. But because it does stack, it goes from plus 12 to plus 22, an increase of 83.33%. Like, do you understand how ridiculous that is? Now, if you add into the calculation the bonus damage you can get from damage buffs, like the True Sun God and the Permabrew, that percentage shrinks to plus 55.56%, but that number is still on the absolute bonkers side of things. But let me go ahead and show you some more crazy things. The ability. It's called Eclipse of Fimbulwinter, and it is crazy OP both in bosses and free play. Activate the ability and the screen turns darker and darker as he charges up the attack and then freezes everything, and that includes bads. The freeze duration does not seem to depend on the degree of the Paragon, but it does depend on the type of blimp, so bads gets a shorter duration while everything below has a longer duration. 5 seconds for bads, and 10 for everything smaller. The ability also applies permafrost, just like the regular snowstorm roar, so that part of the slowdown stays permanently, but the permafrost does not apply to bad bloons. They only get the 5-second slowdown. This ability also gives bosses skull freeze, so if you pop a skull while the ability is active, the effects that happen on skull will be nullified, and this is crazy strong for some bosses. For Bloonarius, that would mean that he won't send out any rush of bloons when the skull pops. For Lich, I guess you don't get a Lich soul and probably not even an invulnerability phase, so that would save a lot of time for timed runs. Vortex, you don't get any stun, but the boss also doesn't get knocked back, but still useful in some scenarios. And Blast, no fireballs or pyroclastic rocks. And for Dread Bloon, this one I was like, what is it gonna do? Will it just skip the rocks spawning? And then I tried it, and it didn't do anything. And at first I thought, well, maybe that makes sense. But then I realized it doesn't work on the first skull because it's immune to primary. Duh. So what does it do, you may ask? It skips everything. No rock spawn, no rock layer, and it doesn't even switch immunity. So it kept the military immunity when it was supposed to be immune to magic, and then switched to magic immunity on the last skull when it's normally immune to support. That is amazing. Imagine the things that can be done with this. And lastly, Phase, where you can prevent the boss from warping, saving you tons of track length, and the boss doesn't spawn a new portal, and you skip the reality shield for that skull. This ability is so OP, dude. Now, does the freeze from the ability also slow down the boss? I wasn't 100% sure because bosses are so slow already that it's hard to tell. So I looked at a faster boss, some Vortex gameplay slowly, and yeah, it looks like the freeze from the ability does actually slow down the boss as well. So this ability can freeze bad bloons and slow them down for 5 seconds, and skip skulls on bosses, which is super useful for boss challenges, ranked timed, and probably some other ranked modes as well. This ability has a very long cooldown of 128 seconds at degree 1, going down to 51 seconds at degree 100, and the ability can only be used once per round. When you activate it, it takes 5 seconds before the freeze actually happens, and the Paragon does keep attacking during this time. And then the skull freeze is active for like 5 seconds, so you got a time when you pop the skull. Now on to some other questions. Is there any type of Silas interaction? No, not really, other than if you have that hero to a certain level, you can get 2 tier 5 ice monkeys, and just like the Dart monkey knowledge, that makes it easier to get all the power you need for a high degree Paragon. Does the Paragon buff ice monkeys? No, there isn't any attack speed buff or anything, but there is again the bonus debuff to ice monkeys, so they get the regular plus 10 damage and another plus 40 damage. Is the Paragon amphibious, since ice monkeys recently got the ability to stand on water? Yes it is, and look at this, it stands on its own ice platform that looks different than the regular one, and you get that nice platform for any other tower you place next to it as well. So how big is the range in terms of being able to freeze the water around it? Well, yeah, it's global. With the Paragon, you can place land towers anywhere on the water. The entire map is frozen. That is so awesome. This is going to be so useful in a lot of limited area challenges, water-only challenges, some boss events. This Paragon just keeps on giving. Now, let's talk a bit about the regular attacks. First of all, attack speed. It's not fast, but it's still pretty good. As mentioned, even at degree 1, it's fast enough for 100% uptime on the debuff, and that is the most important thing, so it's definitely not so slow that you would have a complaint about it like the Bomb Paragon. Now, damage-wise, it's not fantastic, but this was to be expected because ice monkeys aren't very good at single target damage and are mostly used as support, and the price of the Paragon is also very cheap, so there weren't really any expectations that it would have good single target damage. But what about multi-target? Well, check this out. Here I'm sending out 1000 ceramics versus a degree 1 Paragon, and it's gone. How about 5000? And it's gone. The pierce seems to be a lot. And I tried sending a few thousand Moabs and the game almost crashed, but yeah, Pierce is not exactly a problem for this guy. In terms of how to use this Paragon, the regular beam attack shoots in a nice straight line, and the beam is pretty thin, and since the freezes and debuffs happen globally anyway, you really want to place this tower to be able to shoot in a straight line if you're planning for him to be able to not only stall, but also be able to kill some bloons without letting anything past. But in terms of getting the debuff, which is the most important thing, just place him in an area where he will keep attacking for a long time. This Paragon is just so nuts. Let's go ahead and summarize everything. While it doesn't have great single target damage, the Paragon has a plus 10 damage global debuff every 4th attack that also slows down bloons everywhere, and it attacks fast enough for 100% uptime even on a bad at degree 1. And the debuff stacks with regular ice debuffs, and you also get another plus 40 damage from ice attacks. It has an ability that slows down bosses and bads and can nullify all effects that take place when a skull pops, which is crazy strong versus some bosses, and the Ice Monkey has a small footprint, so you can fit this Paragon in very small spaces and you can place it anywhere because it's amphibious and it freezes all the water on the entire map. It provides stalling and has like infinite pierce, and you get all of this in a Paragon that only costs 300k. That's a robbery. I mean, this is truly one of the Paragons of all time. When we're old, historians are gonna talk about this time as an era of great innovation, the creation of the internet, curing cancer, and the Ice Paragon. What a time to be alive. This really is a game changer of a Paragon, and I gotta say the artwork is amazing as well. It looks awesome, I think, and there's just so many new cool things that is gonna be made possible with this tower, and I'm glad Ninja Kiwi chose to make it this ridiculously powerful at release. I've always said to make things too strong when they release and then slowly nerf them down so that the release is hype. So don't expect this Paragon to be getting any buffs anytime soon. If anything, the debuffing might be nerfed to happen like every 5th attack instead of every 4th, and maybe the bonus damage gets lowered to like 8 or something, I don't know. But even that probably wouldn't make too much of a difference. It would still be strong as hell. It's gonna be so much fun playing some more with this Paragon. Update 52 is gonna be out for you guys in just a few days. Let me know what you think about everything you've seen so far in the comments, and now I'm off to try some more Frontier. See you guys in the next one.